Hello and welcome back to Library Stress YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make a 6 pieces skirt, okay, in very simple method. So this is the measurement we'll be working with. The waist measurement is 22 inches, that's the round waist. The hip measurement is 36, nail length is 18 inches. The skirt length is 45, it's actually 43 inches. I added 2 inches allowance for folding and hemming allowance. And then the waist to hip is 9 inches. That's the length between the waist and the hip. Okay, so now I've drawn some markings. This is my starting point, which will also double as my waist. This is my hip line, the waist to hip that I was talking about, which is 9 inches. This is my waist to nail length, which is the nail length, which is the 18 inches. And this is my waist to the full measurement, which is 45 inches. Okay, so the next thing I will take now is my bust span measurement, which is also known as the nipple to nipple. The bust span measurement is, in this case, is 8 inches divided by 2 is going to give me 4 inches, which I'm going to mark here, 4 inches. Okay, so so that I can give the knee area a little bit of fitting, I'm not going to be taking 4 inches on the knee area. I'll just deduct 0.5 inch, which is half from what I have there, and I'll mark it here, and that's going to give me 3.5 inches. Okay, so I have 4 inches here and I have 3.5 inches. So if yours is 9 inches divided by 2 is going to give you 4.5, and by the time you remove half inch you have 4 inches here. So I'm going to be connecting this together like this. So my ruler is not long enough, so I'm just going to find a way to make it easier. So after connecting it, now we'll go over to the hem line and decide how wide we want our skirt to be. So this depends on the amount of fabric you have to work with, but from 8 inches and above is okay. So in this case I have 11 inches here. It's going to be a bit wide, which is what I want. So this is 11 inches and I'm okay with 11 inches. So 11 inches, remember this is on fold. I forgot to mention that this area is folded, this is on fold. So 11 inches by the time I open it up will give me 22 inches. So on this hemline now I measured 11 inches, and from here to my knee I'm going to join it together in a diagonal form. Okay, so I ruled it from my knee length up to my hemline like this. So this is my center front, and I'm going to be cutting it out now. So this is the center front. So I'm going to cut this and then we'll move over to work on our center back. Okay, so now we have cut out our center front. It's time to work on the center back. So this center back, you can cut it in 2 different ways. I folded my fabric on again. This is the fold point. So now the difference between the center front and the center back is the zipper allowance, if you are running a zipper through the center back. Okay, so now you need to take the measurement that you use for your zipper from 1 to 1.5 to 2 inches. Okay, so I'll be taking 1.5 inch and I'll be measuring that down. Okay, so if that is what you wish to use, you just need to take the 1.5 inch measurement like that, and then you place your center front on the 1.5 inches like this. Okay, remember the way you're placing it. This is the fold point, so the fold point will go together with the fold point, not the slanted area that we shaped like this. Okay, so if that is what you want, if you don't want a tail with your 6 pieces skirt, all you just need to do is to place this on your zipper allowance and then trace it out. But for me, I just want to put a little bit of tail, so because of that you can measure depending on how wide your fabric is. You can measure from 5 inches, 6 or 7 inches, just to put a little bit of tail in your fabric. Okay, so now I'll be measuring 7 inches. Okay, I'm taking 7 inches all round like this, and I'll make it into a straight line. Okay, so I've measured my 7 inches now, and it's into a straight line, as you can see. So now I'm going to place my center front on the 7 inches mark like this, leaving this 7 inches space for my zipper allowance and my tail. Okay, I hope you understand that. So now from here, I'm going to take my zipper allowance measurement, and I need this to guide me. This is my waistline, my hip line is here, so I'm just going to lift this up and put it, and my knee length is here, so I'll lift this up again and put it as my knee length, and then I'm going to make it a straight line so that I can see it well. So this is my knee length and this is my hip line. Now I'm going to take my 1.5 inch zipper allowance. Okay, so 1.5 inch here. If you use 1 inch, it's okay. 1.5 inch here and 1.5 inch here. So you can make this into a straight line to act as your zipper allowance. But if you want to give it a little bit of bust slip, remember this is the back bodice and there is a bum at the back. So and this hip line, which your most protected part of the bum is, you can add 1/2 inch to it just to give some allowance to the bum, and then you connect it. So if you're doing this, it means your zipper allowance will no longer be straight, and you have to take account of that when you are sewing. You cannot sew it straight because you've already given bum allowance on your measurement. Okay, so after taking my zipper allowance, so this is my zipper allowance, I'm just going to from here connect what I have here diagonally downwards, and this is going to serve as the little tail that I want for my 6 pieces skirt. Okay, so you can see I've shaped the slanted part and I've cut it out. So now I've connected my knee length all the way to the hem line for my tail. So this is the tail for the center back. It's only the center back that have this. The center front does not have a tail, and this is my zipper allowance. So I'm going to cut this out now and set it aside so that we can work on the side front and side back. And see, it's very simple to make your 6 pieces skirt, and cutting it this way will give you more fitting. Okay, so for your knee length, make sure when you're taking your knee length measurement is always above your knee. It gives it more fitting and it helps the wearer to also move freely. Once this part is on the knee, it becomes difficult for the person to move in the skirt, and the fitting is even less than when it's always above. Okay, now so for the side front, we are cutting the 2 side fronts together. So I've placed my fabric on fold, and remember when we were folding the hemline for the center front, we used 11 inches, and I said it was on fold, which means by the time we open it up, it's going to become 22 inches. Remember, we used 11 inches for the center front here, which is on fold. By the time we open it up, it becomes 22 inches. So when I'm folding my side front, I folded it by the 22 inches here, and it's on fold here, which means this will be for the first side front and the other one below will be for the second side front. So this is by 22 inches. Now to cut it, I'm going to place my center front like this. Okay, so this is my center front. I'm placing it like this, and the first thing I'm going to do now is to shape out the slanted part, the 6 pieces part that we cut. Okay, by the time I place, I hope you understand it. This is the folded part. So the folded part is the one that is on the opened part of the center front. This is the folded part of the side front, and I'm placing it in such a way that the opened part of the side front, which is the slanted part, is the one I'm placing on the side of the folded part, so that I can shape it out. So I'll shape that out now so that it will be easier for us to see and continue. Okay, now I've shaped the center front. I've shaped this slanted side away from my side front. So now I'm going to take my ruler and my chalk and extend the hip line and the knee line so that it will be visible on my center, on my spine. Okay, so now I've done that. This is my hip line and this is my knee length. So now to shape the side of my skirt, I'm just going to take this and then flip it the way I'm going to sew it. Okay, remember, this is the center front, this is the side front, and we're going to be sewing the center and the side front together like this, so that I can get that my actual measurement. I'm flipping it the way it is going to be. It's not going to be like this, so I'm flipping it in the way that it's going to be, and I'm going to be placing it like I'm sewing it, so that my allowance will be there. Remember, I will sew by 5 inch or by half inch. If you fold by 3/4, you can fold like that. So I'm going to be placing the half inch on each other like this, just as if I've sewn it, so that I will not have any shortage. Then I'll start taking my measurement. The waistline I'm working with is 28 inches divided by 4. Okay, so that's going to give me 7 inches. 28 divided by 4. Remember, this is the center front, so this is 1/4 of the body. So on the waistline, I have 7 inches, and I'm going to measure 7 inches and add 2 inches allowance. On the hip line, I'm working with 36 inches divided by 4 is going to give me 9 inches. So from the center front, I'm going to mark 9 inches and then I'll add 2 inches allowance. So for the round knee measurement, I'll be taking 6 inches away from my hip line. It depends on how fitted you want it to be. You can go as high as 8 inches, but I'm taking 6 inches, and if I deduct 6 inches from 36, it's going to give me 30. So the 30 that I have divided by 4 is going to give me 7.5, and I'm going to measure 7.5, and then I'll add 2 inches allowance. So using my curved ruler, I'm going to shape this. So this is the actual measurement. And this is the allowance. Okay, so this is what I have. My sides are shaped, the actual measurements and the allowance. So the next thing to do now is to connect it from here, that's from your knee all the way to your hem line in a diagonal form. Okay, so you can see I've connected it to the hem line and the stopping on the 45 inches one. So if you are to be using an Ankara fabric is by 45 inches, so it will be easier for you. It means you are using the whole length of the fabric, but this is a fabric that is by 60. That's why I'm stopping it here. And if you don't have up to this fabric, remember I used 22 inches to fold my hem line because I want it really full. If you don't have up to that, you can still work with it, but just make sure that this slanted part, you got it right. So you use the same measurement you used for your center front, just the way I placed it like this, and used it to shape it. So after shaping that, whatever that you have left, if it's not up to the 11 inches, remember we used 11 on this side and 11 on this side. So if it's not up to, let's say you have around maybe 6 inches left or 7 inches, so you just need to connect it to your skirt like that. The only difference is just that it won't be full as this one. So now that we are done with this, I'm going to cut the side front and side back out. Remember I said we are cutting the both together, and then we're going to be using this to cut the side back, the two side backs, and we are done with our 6 pieces skirt. You can see how simple it is to make this skirt. It is very, very simple. You can give it a try, and it gives more fitting with this method. You're going to like it at the end of everything. Okay, so this is what it looks like. These are our two sides front. These are our two sides front together like this, and this is the center front. So I'm going to open it up too so that we can see it. Okay, so I'm just going to create more space for my center front. So this is the first side front, this is the second side front, and this is our center front. Okay, so you can see, so we are going to be sewing this part together and then sewing this part also together to make a full front bodice for our skirt. So what you just need to do now is to fold your remaining fabric and place any of this side front on it to get your two side back. So that is the end of our tutorial. I hope you've learned one or two things. Kindly subscribe to our channel to get more tutorials, and click on the notification bell so that you notified anytime we upload a new tutorial. See you in the next one. Bye.